Signs went off at turn 7, but it's completely off at turn 9. That's completely off at turn 10. Has he got a penalty yet? This guy's been off every single time. Turn 10 again.
Copy.
Lewis, they're all gonna get penalties in front of you, all of them, so keep going.
Is there a reason why stewards haven't given those penalties yet?
They're still dishing out warnings and penalties.
Lewis, the car is bad, we know. Please drive it.
Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes, has provided further context for the radio message he issued to Lewis Hamilton during the Austrian Grand Prix, regretting the fact that the W14 had no pace around the Red Bull Ring on Sunday. Throughout the 71-lap race, Hamilton made repeated radio concerns about other drivers violating track restrictions and how challenging it was for him to keep his own car inside the white lines. There were a lot of discussions about track limits and whether they were enforced or not, Wolff said of the matter post-race. I felt that I wanted to just make sure that we were doing the best out of the package that didn't perform and just try to give it the best shot that have. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell could only manage a 7-8 finish for Mercedes after their disastrous weekend at the Red Bull Ring. Consequently, throughout the sprint weekend, just 11 out of a potential 59 points were gained. Max Verstappen, the winner, finished 49 seconds ahead of 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton. For Mercedes, this doesn't look good at all. What happened to the team that appeared to be returning? What can we anticipate for Silverstone, the competition where Mercedes will once more upgrade their vehicle to worsen the outcome of the Austrian Grand Prix? All of this occurred despite Mercedes bringing a significant upgrade for the most recent Monaco Grand Prix, which led to a double podium in Spain before Hamilton finished third in Canada. Wasn't Mercedes' season supposed to be saved by this upgrade? Pushing the possibility of him entering and turning on the radio personally, he added, "It's only for the best interest of the drivers and the team, and sometimes, like you say, there's a certain moment where you need to calm things down, but I mean well." Asked in an interview with Sky Sports for his thoughts on the track limit situation, Wolff argued that the stewards are doing their job, given that it's what the rules say, before offering up some suggestions as to how they could be tweaked. "I think we've either got to go back to the sausage curb and need to take consideration that teams and drivers shouldn't complain if they break their cars, because that's clear, or you've just got to let everybody go where they want," he said. "The car had no pace today," he stated. "It's a bruising day, I would say, because we've had such a good upward trend, and then you have to take such a day. There was no pace and no inkling why yet." This outcome even occurred after Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes had a hopeful fifth-place start on the starting grid. What a race they had, though. Toto Wolff's radio comments best summarized the plot. His second call was a harsh, "Lewis, the car is bad, we know, please drive it." That was in response to Hamilton's query over potential track limit violations by competitors, opponents with whom he just couldn't keep up pace. The fact that the post-race penalties didn't affect Mercedes' point total, Russell was only elevated by Hamilton's drop to 8th, showed that Mercedes still doesn't have the upper hand in the competition to be second behind Red Bull. Hamilton's misery was increased. Thus, Lewis Hamilton's 8th-place finish in the Austrian Grand Prix brought an unfortunate weekend for Mercedes to a close. The Mercedes driver was overheard on the team radio saying that it was difficult to drive the car within the track restrictions after being advised of a black and white flag. Before embarking on a tirade over the team radio about other drivers, particularly Sergio Perez, veering off course, he was eventually assessed a time penalty. Hamilton attributes the challenge of controlling the W14 inside the confines of the course to a setup decision made before the race to help with car balance. "I took out a lot of front wing because we knew we had a really bad rear end here, so I took it out to maintain that balance and go long," he told media. "I massively underestimated it, and I was almost full lock at the final corners. Going into turn 10, it was just sliding." Along with Ferrari, McLaren also made improvements to their vehicle in Austria, enabling Lando Norris to maintain a comfortable lead over Hamilton the entire weekend. The 7-time world champion has been baffled by their slowness all weekend long. "I definitely didn't expect us to be as bad. I don't really have an answer for it," he explained. "The feeling of the car was very much the same as we've had over the last year. But compared to the last two races are way better. Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes contract won't be announced, according to Toto Wolff, until after the British Grand Prix this weekend. According to Wolff, the focus of talks is on other topics, rather than on the amount of the contract or its duration. Mercedes chief is confident that team radio communication won't affect negotiations. Toto Wolff is still very confident that Lewis Hamilton will renew his Mercedes contract, and he is certain that Sunday's team radio reprimand won't affect ongoing negotiations. Hamilton has had multiple conversations with Wolff, but has yet to agree to extend his current Mercedes contract, which is about to expire. Hamilton had the following response when asked about Wolff's radio message's motivation. "I don't know. You'll have to ask him. You should hear us talking on the phone and meeting each other. That was nothing," said Toto Wolff. "We've had a bad spell of a weekend, all of us in the team, and that just makes us stronger." Finalizing Hamilton's contract was a priority, according to Wolff's remarks on June 12th before the Canadian GP. "Going to happen soon, and we are talking more days than weeks." However, the head of Mercedes stated on Sunday that no statement will be made prior to this weekend's British GP and provided an explanation for the delay. "I'm still very confident," Wolff said. "They want to do it super, to every detail, and sometimes you can have a situation where everything is carved out. This is not a money discussion at all. It is about the future. What is it that we want to do right and optimize? We're not talking anything anymore about duration, money, all of that. It's other topics." Asked how many years Hamilton will be driving with Mercedes, Wolff replied, "For a while. The Brits say a couple means two, and the Americans say a couple means a few, so it is somewhere there." Mercedes plans to continue their upgrading campaign by making additional adjustments to the forthcoming race at Silverstone. Wolff's remarks regarding the race were endorsed by Andrew Shovlin, Mercedes' trackside engineering director, who stated the following: "There's lots for us to improve on leaving here. The performance clearly hasn't been good enough. We need to understand how much is down to not landing the setup in the right place and how much is just base performance. We've not brought any updates to the last few races, so it's also possible we're lacking development. We've got plans in place to address that, but the gap to Ferrari was certainly a worry today. The situation with track limits was difficult. The notifications were coming in after the fact, so Lewis ended up with a penalty before we could do anything about it. We're happy that we've only got to wait a few days before getting back on track. We need to work hard to understand the areas that need improvement, but we're looking forward to Silverstone and putting this race behind us." Lewis was down all weekend, though, and that left a bitter taste in the mouths of the drivers. And according to Russell, the squad was surprised by the slip back down the order because the speed was substantially worse than anticipated. "I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it, but we still have the same car as we had 2 races ago in Barcelona when we were flying. So the only thing that's probably different is the tires. Something we need to understand," Russell said. "It definitely doesn't feel as we want it to. The car's moving around a little bit worse than all of the other circuits. But the pace was substantially worse than we were expecting. So, what can we anticipate from Mercedes at their home race? Will they even be able to approach the podium this next weekend? At least they'll deliver a new update, which we'll let you know about later this week. Comment below with your predictions for this weekend's Mercedes drivers. Thank you for watching our video today, and make sure you come back for more F1 news.